She never said she didn't love you. She just stopped acting like she did. You felt it. The silence, the distance, the small excuses that made you question yourself. And still you kept giving more, hoping that effort could fix indifference. But what if it never could? What if what you thought was love was actually behavioral control? A slow psychological pull that keeps you chasing something she already withdrew. Most men think they're being patient. In reality, they're being trained. Trained to wait. Trained to please. Trained to stay. If that sounds familiar, don't move. Because by the end of this, you'll finally understand the 10 invisible signs that reveal when she's not loving you. She's playing you. Sign 1. The excuse loop. When time becomes a weapon. She tells you she's busy, work, family, errands, stress. Always something. Always somewhere. But what you don't notice is how her busy is selective. She's never too busy for what excites her. She's only too busy for you. When a woman starts using time as a shield, she's not protecting her schedule. She's protecting her emotions. This isn't about deadlines. It's about distance. A woman who's emotionally invested will create space for connection even in chaos. But a woman who's fading will weaponize time. She'll make you chase her through silence, through waiting, through small crumbs of attention that keep you hopeful but powerless. This pattern is called avoidant attachment, a defense mechanism where she withdraws intimacy to regain control. The less you feel her, the safer she feels. She needs to feel wanted but not owned, needed but not committed. And here's the truth, Yamo, a woman who wants you will make time. A woman who's playing you will make excuses. Every unanswered call, every rain check, every vague, maybe later. It's not random, it's behavioral design. She's teaching you that she's the prize, and that you should feel grateful just to get a moment of her. Silence for her isn't neglect, it's strategy. And the longer you wait for her to find time, the more she learns that your patience is the leash she can pull anytime she wants. Sign 2. The hidden life. When she keeps you a secret. You've been seeing her for months, yet you've never met a single friend, never seen her world beyond the screen. Every time you ask, there's an excuse. They're busy. You wouldn't like them. It's too soon. But the truth is simple. If she's proud of you, she wants people to know you exist. If she's hiding you, it's not shyness, it's strategy. A woman keeps you in the shadows when she wants to protect her options. It's psychological safety. When no one knows about you, she's free to keep other doors half open. To flirt, to entertain, to explore without accountability. You become a temporary emotional placeholder. A name without context. A secret without definition. Women who are emotionally unavailable crave the illusion of connection, not the responsibility that comes with it. They'll give you intimacy in private, but distance in public. A dual reality that feeds their ego without risking their freedom. And here's the truth. The one she hides isn't the one she values. It's the one she uses. Don't mistake her secrecy for privacy. Those are not the same thing. Privacy is protection. Secrecy is avoidance. So if you find yourself trapped in the shadows of her life, remember this. The longer you stay hidden, the easier it becomes for her to erase you. You'll realize too late that you were never part of her story, just a chapter she never intended to publish. Sign 3. The phone barrier. When presence means nothing. You're sitting across from her. The light hits her face. The music hums in the background, but she's not there. Her eyes flicker to the screen every few seconds, her thumb scrolling like it's a reflex. She laughs. Not at your words, but at something someone else just sent. That moment right there. That's not distraction. That's emotional displacement. Every time she reaches for her phone, she's reaching for dopamine. The tiny spark of validation that feels more satisfying than your presence. It's not personal, it's chemical, but it's also a sign. Because when a woman is emotionally invested, she craves depth, not notifications. When she's not, she uses distraction as camouflage to avoid the weight of genuine connection. Psychologists call it the dopamine loop, the cycle of constant checking, constant comparing, constant craving. It's an addiction to attention. And like every addiction, it consumes the real for the sake of the instant. You might think you're boring her. You're not. You've just stopped being her escape. She's found a stronger stimulus, a faster hit. And here's the brutal truth. Distraction is the new form of rejection. When she can't stay present with you, she's showing you exactly where you rank in her hierarchy of stimulation. You're no longer novelty. You're background noise. So don't beg for her attention while she's lost in the glow of her screen. Because the more you compete with her phone, the clearer it becomes. You're not fighting another man. You're fighting her addiction to the world watching her. Sign 4. The validation game. When she flirts in front of you, you're standing next to her and another man walks by. He makes her laugh, a little too long, a little too easily. You notice the tilt of her head, the softness in her tone, the sparkle in her eyes. Then she glances at you, not to check if you're okay, but to see how much it hurts. That's not carelessness. That's calibration. For women who crave attention, validation is oxygen. It's not always about attraction. It's about control. The ability to spark desire in others reminds her that she's still powerful, still wanted, still free. And the moment she senses your discomfort, she learns something deeper. How much disrespect you'll excuse in the name of love. This isn't random flirting. It's a test to measure your tolerance, your reaction, your weakness. Psychologists call this validation addiction, a dependency on being admired, seen, and desired. Every compliment, every glance, every DM is a microdose of importance. Each reaction she provokes becomes a hit of emotional power. Here's the paradox. If you stay silent, she assumes she can get away with it. If you react, she knows she still owns your emotions. Either way, she wins, unless you stop playing. Because once a woman realizes she can feed her ego in your presence, she'll never value your respect again. She'll trade dignity for attention, and you'll find yourself defending a woman who enjoys watching you compete for her. The erosion of respect never begins with betrayal. It begins with testing. Testing how little she can give before you finally break. Sign 5. The transaction. When her love has a price tag. You haven't heard from her in days. Then suddenly, her name flashes on your screen. Her voice is soft, her tone gentle, maybe even a little nostalgic. But listen closely. There's always a reason. Her car broke down. She needs advice. She's been thinking about you. But right after that warm opening, there's always a favor waiting behind the sweetness. What you're experiencing isn't affection. It's conditional engagement. Love used like currency. She doesn't reach for your presence. She reaches for your utility. And once her problem is solved, her warmth vanishes like it never existed. This is called an instrumental relationship. A dynamic where closeness is a tool, not a truth. Her affection is transactional. Her care is conditional. Her charm is not connection. It's strategy. And men often confuse this for love because it mimics it perfectly. She thanks you, she praises you, she lets you feel needed. You feel proud to help, thinking you're building something deeper. But what you don't see is how she's reinforcing a loop. Your help, her attention, your loyalty. That's how she keeps you hooked. Not through passion, but through purpose. Because here's the truth. If her warmth appears only when she needs something, it's not affection. It's currency. You don't lose your power by giving. You lose it by giving without awareness. When your kindness becomes her vending machine for comfort, she learns that disappearing is the easiest way to reset your loyalty. She doesn't have to show up. She just has to vanish long enough for you to crave her presence again. You're not her partner. You're her resource. And she knows exactly how to make you proud to stay that way. Sign 6. The future dodge. When she avoids depth, she says, "Let's not rush things." Or, "I just want to enjoy the moment." It sounds mature, doesn't it? Peaceful. But if months pass and every talk about the future dies before it starts, you're not in a relationship. You're in emotional limbo. A space she controls by refusing to define. Avoidance feels peaceful because it's quiet. But silence isn't safety, it's strategy. Women who fear commitment often disguise it as freedom. They don't want to end things. They just want to make sure they can end things anytime without guilt. This is called commitment avoidance, the art of maintaining closeness without depth. She wants your presence, not your plans, your affection, not your direction. And by keeping the relationship half open, she ensures one thing: she never has to be the one who walks away. It's easier to drift than to decide, so she'll keep you orbiting, close enough to keep her comfortable, but never close enough to feel real. Here's the truth. If she avoids talking about tomorrow, it's because she's already planning her exit today. Ambiguity is her shield. And your hope? That's her leash. Don't mistake her calmness for connection. Some women don't ghost. They fade. Slowly. Softly. So you can't even tell when love turned into waiting. Because that's how emotional control works. It doesn't shout. It disappears. When you start to see these patterns clearly, the selective time, the hidden life, the distracted presence, the validation loops, the conditional affection, the refusal of depth, you begin to understand something powerful. She's not confusing, she's predictable. And once you can predict it, you can stop participating in 7. The ex-echo. When her past still owns her. It starts small. She mentions his name like it just slipped out. Maybe it's a story, a casual joke, a memory that just came up. You tell yourself not to overthink it. But then it happens again and again. You notice the pattern. She still follows him. She still checks his posts. She still compares moments, even indirectly. You're not paranoid. You're competing with a ghost. This isn't nostalgia. It's emotional residue. The leftover energy from an attachment that never fully ended. When a woman hasn't processed her past, she brings it into her present, consciously or not. Her ex becomes the silent reference point for everything you do. Psychologists call this emotional imprinting. It's the phenomenon where powerful emotional experiences carve deep neural pathways that shape attraction, trust, and even conflict. She's not comparing you to him. She's measuring you against the feelings he created. And that's why, no matter how much you give, it never feels enough. Because you're not fighting to win her heart. You're fighting to overwrite her memory. Here's the painful truth. You're not dating her. You're dating the emotional residue of the last man who broke her. Men often believe they can heal her, that patience will make her forget. But healing doesn't come from replacement. It comes from release. And that's something only she can do. So when she keeps talking about her past, take it for what it is, a sign she's still there. And the longer you stay, the more you'll realize you're not part of her next chapter. You're the rebound character in a story she hasn't finished reading. Sign 8. The boundary flip. When she makes you the problem. You finally decide to speak up. You tell her you're uncomfortable with how she talks to other men. Or you mention that certain posts or behaviors cross a line. You're calm, you're respectful. But suddenly the roles shift. She sighs, rolls her eyes and says, "Why are you being so insecure? Why do you always want to control me? You're acting toxic." Sound familiar? That's not miscommunication. That's reversal. A psychological technique that turns your boundaries into accusations, so she never has to take responsibility. When you draw a line, she doesn't see it as respect. She sees it as resistance, and resistance threatens her control. So she flips the script. Now, you're not the man trying to protect your peace. You're the villain trying to limit her freedom. Psychologists call this gaslighting guilt, a manipulation tactic that makes you doubt your emotional clarity. Every time you defend your values, she reframes them as flaws. You start to question yourself. You start apologizing, not because you were wrong, but because you're exhausted. That's how she wins, not by dominance, but by confusion. Each time you back down to keep the peace, she learns one dangerous lesson. Your peace costs less than her comfort. And once a woman learns that, she'll never stop using guilt as a weapon. Here's the truth. A man without boundaries isn't loving. He's lost. Strong men aren't defined by how much they tolerate, but by what they refuse to accept. A woman who respects you doesn't weaponize your care against you. She doesn't test how far she can push before you break. You can't protect a woman who's trying to prove she doesn't need your protection. Because every time you lower your standards to earn her approval, you confirm that she was right to test you. So the next time she flips your boundary into an accusation, remember, she's not defending her freedom. She's defending her power. And love that demands you abandon yourself isn't love. It's control in disguise. The truth is, most emotional manipulation doesn't come from obvious cruelty. It hides inside justifications. Inside phrases like, "You're overreacting," "You're too sensitive," or "I didn't mean it that way." Each statement seems harmless, even logical. But over time, it conditions you to question your instincts, to silence the voice that warns you something's off. And once that voice goes quiet, you lose your internal compass. You stop standing up for yourself because you can't tell if you're right anymore. That's when emotional control reaches its peak. Not when she yells, but when you doubt your right to feel. You see, gaslighting doesn't always scream. Sometimes it sounds like love. It comes wrapped in apologies, smiles, and half-truths. It feels like peace because it offers temporary calm, but only after you surrender your power. Real love doesn't punish honesty. It invites it. It doesn't make you afraid to speak. It makes you feel safe enough to. So when your truth starts to feel like trouble, when your boundaries become reasons for guilt, when your peace depends on silence, understand this: you're no longer in love, you're under influence. Sign 9. The reward trap. When love becomes a transaction, it always happens after the storm. The argument ends. You're drained, but she suddenly becomes soft again, smiling, affectionate, even apologetic. She touches you, calls you by that nickname she uses only when she wants something. And for a moment you feel relief. You think maybe it's over, maybe we're okay again. But that calm isn't peace, it's reinforcement. She's training your nervous system to associate her approval with compliance. Every time you give in, she rewards you with affection. Every time you resist, she withdraws it. That's intermittent reinforcement, the same psychological mechanism used in casinos. You never know when the next win is coming, so you keep playing. You keep trying to please her, chasing the next good moment. And before you realize it, you're not in love. You're addicted to relief. This is how emotional dependency forms. Not through constant attention, but through unpredictable affection. It's not the love that hooks you, it's the hope. You start believing that if you just do better, if you change, stay quiet, become more patient, she'll finally go back to the version of her that loved you at the beginning. But that version doesn't exist anymore. It never really did. It was bait. Sign 10. The exit paradox. When walking away feels wrong. Even after everything, leaving her feels impossible. You tell yourself you just need closure, one more talk, one last moment. But deep down, you know, closure won't come from her. It comes from clarity. You're not staying because you love her. You're staying because she built a version of you that only exists in relation to her. She made you believe that peace without her is loneliness. But peace without her is not loneliness. It's recovery. Because when a woman conditions your worth around her moods, leaving isn't rejection. It's rebellion. You're breaking the loop she built to keep you emotionally compliant. And yes, it hurts. Because every addiction does when you stop feeding it. But the pain of detachment is temporary. The pain of self-abandonment lasts forever. So when she says, "You'll never find someone who loves you like I do," understand. That's not a warning. That's a confession. Because even she knows no healthy woman would love you like that. How to break free from the pattern. 1. Reclaim your perception. Stop explaining your feelings to someone committed to misunderstanding them. You don't need her validation to confirm your reality. 2. Rebuild your boundaries. Love doesn't mean access. Peace begins when you stop negotiating what should be non-negotiable. 3. Detach from the reward cycle. Don't chase the highs. Observe the pattern, not the moment. If love only feels good after pain, it's not love, it's conditioning. Fourth, relearn solitude. The space you fear is the same space you need to remember who you were before her. Freedom is quiet at first, then powerful. 5. Rewrite the story. You're not the broken one. You're the one who saw the pattern and chose to stop dancing to someone else's rhythm. You were never supposed to decode her to keep her. You were supposed to decode her to free yourself. Because once you understand how the game works, you stop playing it and start protecting your energy like it's sacred. And that's when everything changes. The women who once confused you stop impressing you. The silence that once scared you starts to heal you. And the love you once begged for begins to flow from within.